welcome back to Caps Hockey Review. The Caps in Boston for Game 3. First game in Boston, looking for a win to get back to a series lead. Looking to go up 2-1. Caps Hockey Review, let's go. And off we go. Caps Hockey Review underway once again. Game 3, Caps Bruins, Wednesday night. First game in Boston in this series. The Caps now will have to win one game in Boston. With splitting games 1 and 2 in DC, they need to win a game in Boston in order to advance to the second round. So, I mean, if you're smart, you're going to get out to a good start right away. You're going to get this win out of the way here. Well, the cardiac Caps are probably back. This team is not doing anything easy. All 3 games going to overtime to start this series. They're the only team in the last 10 years that's done this. Start 3 games of the playoffs in overtime. This team cannot win easy. I don't know what it is. But yes, it makes for entertaining hockey for just about everybody else who's not a diehard Caps fan. But for those of us fans, it's stressful. It is absolutely stressful. It's tough, but we power through. Anyway, off we go. Game 3. Well, I'm going to say the Caps played decently. Ilya Samsonov played very well, aside from that miscue at the end of the game, which we'll get to. The big thing missing for the Caps, and I think I said this before too, going back to game 1, the Caps looked a lot better because they were more physical. They didn't allow the Bruins to have any time and space to skate with the puck. You know, it's a situation where you either have to move your feet or move the puck, and they're forcing the Bruins to make some bad passes there. So that really worked well for the Caps in game 1, and they haven't gotten back to that since, and they need to. This is a very good Boston team, of course, but where they really, really hurt you is once they get the puck in the offensive zone and start, driving it in deep and getting it back, they just wear you down. You get stuck in your D zone for a minute and a half, and okay, your breakout's weak because you got to change. You get no forecheck because you got to change, and it just kind of continues like that. It's a vicious cycle. So what I'd like to see from the Caps to improve, just for starters here, want to get better about finishing your checks, and you want to be better about getting out of your D zone quickly. The less time you spend in your D zone, the better, obviously. But getting hemmed in your D zone for a minute and a half, 2 minutes at a time, that's dangerous. That's going to lead to goals. Guys are going to get tired. It's just best to avoid it as much as you can. Now, they're not going to avoid it all the way around. Boston's a really good team. They're still going to find ways to generate their chances and get their zone time. The best thing the Caps can do is just try to minimize that as much as possible. Watching game 3, the Bruins controlled a lot more of the play, I felt. The Caps had some moments and, some stretches where they were good, but it felt like Boston really, really carried the game for the most part. This needs to change also. The Caps need to carry the game. They need to play at their pace. They need to control the puck. That's the big thing too. The Caps are kind of throwing a lot of wild passes that are getting intercepted or going missed for icings. Better passing. A lot of things have to be better right now. I'm very critical. I understand that. I don't like to be, and I hope I won't have to be moving forward, but it needs to be a lot better in front of the goaltenders for sure right now. And I might as well just dive into it. There's not a lot of positive to pull out of this game. Really, the big thing, Nick Dowd scores another goal last night. Huge. Alex Ovechkin gets on the board. Okay, So the captain scores his first goal. That fourth line continues to contribute. That's 4 goals now in these 3 games. That fourth line for the Caps is buzzing. They're finding ways to contribute offensively, which you don't see a ton from fourth lines. And if you can get that, you're good. You're really, really good. But the rest of the team has to help out, and it hasn't seemed like a total joint effort yet from the Caps. It doesn't seem like they're all pulling on that rope in one direction. It's, last night we see Ovechkin's line looked pretty good. The fourth line looked pretty good. The other 2 were kind of there, but didn't dazzle or didn't stand out really. And it's kind of been that in all games with just different lines. That fourth line's been present and accounted for every game, and it's kind of been a crapshoot on which of the other 3 lines are going to show up in these 3 games. So it's what we really, really need to see right now is all 4 lines pulling on the rope, all 3 D pairs pulling on the rope, goalie making big saves, keeping your team in the game. The goalie's held up their end. Every game in this series, I would not say the Caps have had bad goaltending at all. I would say almost exactly the opposite. I did not have high hopes for goaltending in these playoffs. Vanacek, gave up that early one, got hurt. It was a heck of a shot by DeBrusque. Craig Anderson in relief, obviously that's been well documented. Played really well in game 2. Really gave the boys a chance to win. Ilya Samsonov coming in kind of cold. Hasn't played a game since May 1st. It's been a little over 2 weeks now before that game last night. So played really well. Aside from that miscue, which we'll talk about here, but the goaltending is not to blame. That's what every analyst, every writer, every commentator has pointed to so far is the goaltending for the Caps. That's the concern. That's the word. Goaltending's been good. It really has. It's been much better than I think most people expected it to be for the Caps so far. Now the difference is you got to put it all together with everything else in your lineup, and they haven't yet. Which I'll just jump right to it here. Two plays I really, really thought sent this game down the toilet for the Caps. The first, third period, you're up by a goal. You score. You have a long time to hold the lead here. You really do. They got to hold this lead for basically the entire third period. This is a difficult task against any team, much less or much more the Boston Bruins. Holding a 1-goal lead for 10 minutes against this team in a third period is tough. You don't need any undue challenge. You don't need any undue pressure. Nick Dowd scores the goal to take the lead. Hero of the game, possibly. But he takes a bad penalty away from the play. Behind the play, high sticks Charlie McAvoy. I have no idea what he was thinking, what was going through his mind. I don't know if it was just an accident. It didn't really look like it, but that's the kind of penalty you can't have. And the Bruins score on the ensuing power play to tie the game. That's a play you can't have. You're up a goal. You need to close. You need to finish out. You need to get out of here with a win. And plays like that give Boston more opportunity, you just can't have it. You can't have it. I don't care if McAvoy said something to him. It doesn't matter. The fact is, Dowd gets the penalty. Boston goes to the power play. Boston ties the game. And then as we get into overtime, Boston looked a lot better through most of it. The Caps started generating chances toward the end of that first overtime and into the second one. They were looking pretty good. They were kind of finding their legs again, able to skate the puck, able to punch it in deep and go back and go in and get it. And then the miscue. The miscue that has become infamous over the last 24 hours. Ilya Samsonov leaving the puck behind the net. Justin Schultz, from all looks of the play, looks like he thinks Samsonov is going to rim the puck around the boards on the opposite side of the ice. Well, Samsonov didn't do that. He also didn't retrace his steps going back to his net, which, as a goalie, that's a golden rule. You come out of the net, you got to go back into the net on that same side so you can see what's behind you what's come behind you while you were playing the puck. If he had looked, he'd been able to maybe run a little bit of interference for Schultz on Craig Smith, so Schultz could get out of there a little bit cleaner and come up with the puck. But that's not what happened. A huge miscue from both Schultz and Samsonov leads to the game-winning goal on a wraparound from Craig Smith. Man, that was tough. That was a deflator. That was a stake through the heart. That was whatever you want to call it. That was tough to watch. Really, it was. And this is going to be a turning point for this team. I believe either they're going to fold from here, and it's going to be over, or they're going to wake up. They're going to realize their mistakes, and they're going to make better about it. They're going to not make those mistakes. They're going to improve their own outcomes by eliminating those mistakes. That's obviously what every Caps fan's hoping for. That's what I am hoping for here. If Alex Ovechkin's reaction to last night's game is any indication, I would imagine this team is going to come out and try to just beat the absolute wheels off the Bruins in Game 4. Alex Ovechkin screaming at what I can only imagine was Ilya Samsonov and Justin Schultz. You could kind of see his head panning more toward the tunnel. So he wasn't yelling at anybody on the ice. He was yelling at somebody coming off the ice. And I imagine it was one of or both of those guys for that miscue. That's a huge play that can't happen at this time of the year, and it does. So it's going to be about how they respond now. You need to come out strong next game. You got to take the lead, and you got to hold it. You can't take any bad penalties really at any point in the game, much less in the third period, especially when you have a lead. You can't give Boston an undue chance, an undue opportunity to get back into the game. And you got to develop that killer instinct. You got to close it out. Barry Trotz talks about that all the time leading up to 2018. This team needs to develop the killer instinct. When you've got somebody down or you've got them on the edge of the cliff, you got to push them off. You got to stomp on their throat. Whatever you want to say, get them on the edge of the cliff and push them off. You got to have that game-ending mentality, that killer instinct. And they don't have it yet. And they need to find it quickly. If Boston wins Game 4, but obviously it's going to be 3-1 in the series. That's going to be a tough one to overcome because you're going to have to go back to DC down 2 games. Okay, you win Game 5 in DC in all likelihood probably, but then you got to go back to Boston for Game 6 facing elimination. That's going to be tough. They've been in tough spots before, absolutely, but that would be a different level of tough spot. I think that I don't know. I'm starting to feel maybe this team's missing a piece. Maybe it's and I don't really know what, but what I've seen so far since Game 1 has not been encouraging. I was very excited after Game 1, but what I've seen since has been just sent me in the exact opposite direction. This team is concerning me to no end right now, and they're gonna have to play their way out of it. That's really the only answer here. I don't know. I would like to see maybe a Connor McMichael slot in. I like, Daniel Carr does some good things, but is he really the guy you want on your third line at this point of the season? I don't think so. Maybe he is, but it's an interesting choice, and I realize Eller is out. I get that, but I think maybe giving somebody like Brian Pino, Connor McMichael, somebody just give a young guy a chance. Give a guy who has some speed and can put the puck in the net and create offense. Give him a chance. Because at this point, I don't know. What do you have to lose, I suppose? Well, I mean, yeah, you might lose the series, but give it your best shot. I don't know if Daniel Carr is the answer at this point. I don't know if Michael Raffle is necessarily the answer. Maybe some young guys are the answer. Maybe not. But being being aggressive in how you handle your lineups, which Laviolette is, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to a young guy, possibly Connor McMichael. He did travel with the team to Boston. I think there's a possibility we could see him on Friday. That could certainly be very exciting. That could maybe shift some momentum for the Caps, get them a little bit more of a spark offensively. So that's kind of what I'll hope for right now. I don't have super high hopes at the moment, but we'll see. After game 4, I might. If they come out and play well game 4, pull out a win, that excitement will come back a little bit. But we need a win right now for game 4. So let's hope we see it.